Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of our writing correction series. Today's essay has been sent to us by Nabila from Libya. So let's go read her essay and let's see what comments we can provide on it. Okay, so the topic reads, in many parts of the world, farming has always been one of the most important jobs. Nowadays, however, young people hesitate to enter this profession. Why is this the case, and what can be done about this problem? So we have a nice combination topic. In fact, this is one of the recent questions in the actual exam. So I'm interested to see how this candidate has attempted to provide a complete response to it. Okay, so let's begin with the structure. So what do we have here? We have an introduction, we have 2 body paragraphs, and a conclusion at the end. So it seems like a nice way of addressing all parts of the question. We have 2 questions in this combination prompt. The first one is, why is this the case? Which means we're looking at causes. And the second one is, what can be done? Which means we're supposed to provide solutions. Okay, let's start with the introduction. Today, in spite of agriculture industry is one of the great importance in many countries, youngster is not very interested in doing this. Okay, now I see that there has been an attempt to write a phrase here. But you got to remember, whenever you have in spite of, you have to follow it up with a phrase of some sort, like a noun phrase. So instead of saying in spite of agricultural industry is one of the great importance in many countries, so we could say in spite of its great importance in many countries. Okay, and then you have to start your sentence with the agricultural industry, whatever it is that its refers to. So here we have its great importance, and this is referring to the subject of the main clause, which in this case is, you got it, the agricultural industry. So is one of the great importance in many countries. We already covered that, but what Nabila wants to say in the main clause is that youngsters are not very interested in doing this. So how can we write a sentence that begins with the agricultural industry but expresses how youngsters or young people are not interested in it? So we could say, today, in spite of its great importance in many countries, the agricultural industry is not able to attract young people, right? So the agricultural industry is not able to attract young people, or is not of much interest to young people. I think because the original sentence says interested, I'm going to remain faithful to it. I'm going to say is not of great interest to young people. Now, remember, you don't want to be too absolute. So instead of saying to young people, you might want to say it's not of great interest to many young people. So many means we can't really generalize it to all of them, but many of them don't find it interesting. So I'm going to get rid of this. Now, I think this is mainly because of changing lifestyle, and its benefits are long-term. But there are some solutions. Okay, so this is where Nabila is saying what the essay is going to be all about. So we have, I think this is mainly because of. Now, we have a preview of the main ideas. So the question says, why is this happening? And we have the main ideas listed here. Changing lifestyle, and its benefits are long-term. But the problem is that changing lifestyle is a noun phrase, But when you say its benefits are long-term, that's a clause. That's a full sentence. So we have to make sure that these two ideas are parallel in structure. So if this is a noun phrase, this also has to be a noun phrase too. How are we going to do that? We're going to say, I think this is mainly because of changing lifestyle, and we can say it's long-term benefits. So you see, we now have changing lifestyle, which is one noun phrase, and its long-term benefits, which is another one, right? So I think this is mainly because of changing lifestyle and its long-term benefits. Well, I don't really know how this is going to play. I'm going to have to read the body paragraphs to find out, but the idea is that long-term benefits is the noun phrase. So I'm not really commenting on the content here. I'm just showing you how to do the formal part of it all. Okay, but there are some solutions. Now, why but? So this is mainly because of changing lifestyle and its long-term benefits, and there are some solutions, right? But isn't wrong, but I don't see a reason why you'd want to say, create a contrast here. So you could say, but, and there are some solutions, and you might want to say for addressing this, or not just addressing it, but for solving this problem, assuming that it is a problem. Okay, so that's the intro. Now let's take a look at the first body paragraph. With the advance of technology, the lifestyle of people has changed. Okay, so first of all, the noun form of advance is advancement. So with the advancement of technology, the lifestyle of people. Okay, why would you go with the lifestyle of people when you could just say people's lifestyles, right? And we don't just have one lifestyle for everyone. So you want to say lifestyles have and then changed, right? Especially young people prefer the self-employed job with high incoming. Okay, now remember, especially is one of those words that is attached to whatever it is that we are specifying. So it's not usually a good idea to start a new sentence with especially. So if we got rid of this, so if we didn't have a period at the end here, then maybe you could, the sentence would be people's lifestyles have changed, especially, right? So you know what? I'm going to do that. Normally, I recommend writing shorter sentences, but here in this case, I'm going to go ahead just to show you how it's used. So people's lifestyles have changed, especially those young people who prefer, so we want to go with who prefer self-employment, okay? Because not a self-employed job. It's just they prefer self-employment, okay? Not incoming. What is the noun form? Income. So instead of incoming, with a high income, or employment which offers a high income. Okay, let's read this one more time. So with the advancement of technology, people's lifestyles have changed, especially those young people who prefer self-employment which offers a high income. Okay, there. They tend to have a job which relevant to their education. So they tend to have, okay, now here's the thing that I've noticed with a lot of students. Tend to, guys, doesn't mean tendency. Tend to means it's just something that happens. For example, I tend to wake up early in the morning. It doesn't mean I want to wake up early in the morning. It's just a habit of mine. It's something that I do automatically. So when you're talking about someone's habit, someone's routine, something that someone normally does, regardless of whether they want to do it or not, that's where you use a verb like tend to. So instead of tend, I think we should use something like prefer. They prefer to have a job which, right, okay, relevant is an adjective, right? So you need a to be verb before an adjective, which is relevant to their education. And in particular, they avoid doing traditional job. Okay, so they avoid doing traditional jobs. So, right, and in particular, they avoid doing traditional jobs. Little note on punctuation. As you can see, we have a coordinating conjunction and we're using a comma before it, which is all good. But when you have a comma after an initial adverb, if you want to make clear the boundary between your main clauses, you could also use a semicolon here. But that's not really, you know, you don't have to do it, but it would make it in many cases easier on your readers. Then we have because in terms of working class, it cannot meet their expectation. Okay, don't start a sentence like this. This is a fragment. Why? Because we don't know what because is referring to. And never use a comma after because. It's not an adverbial. Because is basically a subordinator. So if you want to connect these two sentences together, even at the expense of making the sentence extremely long, you get rid of this period here, and then you just say because in terms of working class, it cannot meet their expectations. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get rid of this. And so just to show you how because is used. So because, now I don't know what this means in terms of working class, so I'm just going to get rid of it. So because it cannot meet their expectations. Nice collocation here, meet their expectations. Furthermore, farming, despite it is difficult work. Okay, remember how we had in spite of, and then we had to follow it up with a phrase? Same thing goes for despite. So you're going to have to say, furthermore, farming, and then comma, despite it is difficult work. Now, we're going to say, despite its difficulty. Okay? And so your subject is farming, so you don't need to repeat it. It's farming, despite its difficulty, does not bring significant profit. Okay, now bring profit, not wrong, but a better collocation would be does not yield significant profit. That's better. The products are sale in certain time of the year. No, they're not sale, they're sold, right? Sale is not a verb here. So are sold in certain time of the year. So because we're referring to a duration, you might want to go with are sold during certain times of the year. So it's not just one time, right? You know, some crops are sold during the winter, some are sold during the summer. So you have like different times of the year, right? So are sold during certain times of the year, but with its income, farmer's daily life does not pass easily. Okay, but perhaps the sentence could be, but the income or the, just to teach you a nice expression, the generated revenue, which is just a fancy way of saying the money that comes in, is not sufficient for or is not enough to cover their expenses, meaning the farmer's expenses. So there, you have a nice collocation. Generate revenue is not enough to cover their expenses. Now, let's see if it's clear who this is referring to. In case it's not, instead of there, you can just say the farmer's expenses. Okay, with its income, farmer's daily life does not pass easily. We corrected this. I'm going to get rid of it. In fact, planting is not encouraging young generation, and they prefer to have a job that have a fair and equal income according to their efforts. Okay, fine. planting. Now, I know that you probably didn't want to repeat the word farming, but it is what it is. You really can't paraphrase the word farming. Farming is farming. And so I've seen this cause a lot of trouble for students trying to paraphrase things all the time. Listen, guys, sometimes you have a keyword and that keyword will repeat itself. If you were writing in your own language, you would still be repeating these keywords. So don't bend over backwards trying to paraphrase every single word. Okay? So, in fact, farming is not encouraging young generation. So, encouraging young generation. So, I'm not sure if this is, I hope I've understood it, but instead of saying is not encouraging, so we could say is not enticing. Now, I know I'm using big words, but I'm just trying to teach you how you could use words to meet a specific demand. You want to refer to a very specific idea, and there's a very specific word for it. So, an idea could entice someone, and you can look up this word. It's a pretty good word to use. So, in fact, farming is not enticing for the young generation, and they prefer to have a job that has a fair and equal income according to their efforts. Okay, so you don't want to say according to, you want to say proportional to their efforts. And what does that mean? It means the more effort you put into something, the more income is generated. That's what proportional means. Okay, it means there's a direct relationship. But according to, that just means something else. Okay, next paragraph. Some measures could be done. Now, do you do a measure? No, you take a measure. So some measures could be taken. Now, this is super important to know this collocation because it's such a useful collocation. You're very likely to use it somewhere in your writing. So go ahead and memorize these particular collocations that are likely to be used. So some measures could be taken in order to increase young people's motivation for what? For farming. So you want to mention that as well. First and almost. Okay, no, it's not first and almost. It's first and foremost, all right? Okay, so first and foremost, governments can invest of a great deal of budget. Now, you don't invest of, you just invest something. And then budget, you don't have more than one budget for something. The budget is just one budget. But the problem is we have a small budget and then we have a large budget. So instead of saying a great deal of budget, we could say can invest a larger budget in or into the agriculture. The adjective is agricultural industry. When people are less concerned. Okay, you see you have the verb to be. So here you need an adjective, right? Well, in this case, it's a passive. So are less concerned. So whenever you have the verb to be, remember, you either have to have the past participle or an adjective form. So people are less concerned about their financial status. Okay, then comma. They encourage to launch their profession. So they, you see, we're using when, but it's basically a conditional. When people are less concerned about their financial status, they become encouraged, and it's like a zero conditional. They become encouraged, or they are encouraged. I think are is better than become. So they are encouraged to launch this profession. Now, launch this profession means like you're starting it for other people. So we can say start working in this profession. And by this point, your readers probably know what we're talking about. In addition, create an opportunity for innovation and creativity to get, okay, so what is this? Are we telling the government to do this? Yeah, but you can't use an imperative. So you're going to have to say, in addition, authorities or the government can create an opportunity for innovation and creativity to get the traditional farming out of their minds. Aha. So the idea here is that, these people are only thinking about traditional farming. So how can we change this? We could say it can create an opportunity for innovation and creativity in order to, now you don't want to get traditional farming out of their mind, okay? So we can say maybe differentiate traditional farming from modern, we could say mechanized practice, okay? Or methods, maybe. Methods would be a better word. There. They ought to learn about new agricultural machinery that help farmers on their land. Okay, good. This might be a little redundant now that we've added that last sentence. So you might want to keep it because the paragraph is already a little too short. I think this part could have been explained a little bit more. But yeah. So how would we link this to the previous sentence? They ought to learn. We have they, so we don't necessarily need a linker. Ought to learn about new agricultural machinery that help farmers on their land. Yeah, it's not a wrong sentence. I probably wouldn't, I would have written an example maybe, but yeah, no, it's fine. And then we have, in conclusion, the number of young people who enthusiastic, look, enthusiastic is an adjective, right? So once again, we need a to be verb. The number of young people who are enthusiastic with farming. No, it's enthusiastic about farming. Is decline. No, it's on the decline. So on the rise means something is increasing, and on the decline means something is decreasing. However, okay, remember, you can't just leave a comma here. Your clause has come to an end, so you need something like a semicolon and then a comma after however. Investing the budget. Okay, the budget. Do I know which budget we're talking about? No. So investing in this field of work, and you don't need to say investing something. When you say investing in this field of work, obviously you're referring to money or a budget. So investing in this field of work, and look, we have ing, right? Investing and encouraging young people to innovation. No, the verb is innovate. Maybe solve this problem. Look, when you have a main verb, then you're going to use a modal. And the modal is may, not maybe. Maybe is an adverb. So you want to say may solve this problem. Okay, so I focused most on the lexical grammatical mistakes in this writing, and I hope that you guys have learned a few things. Some general comments. I think this essay, the body paragraphs need to be developed a little bit more, so I would like to see a few examples in there. In the conclusion, I think if you're reviewing, you have to review both the main ideas from the first body paragraph and the main ideas from the second one. So don't just limit yourself to one of the paragraphs. And I wouldn't include a preview of the main ideas in the introduction, but I would definitely include them in the conclusion instead. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I hope that you learned a few things along the way. Now, let's take a look at next week's topic. So the topic for next week is, in most countries, criminals are sent to prison for the crimes they have committed. However, many believe that providing them with better education is a much better solution. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? As always, you can send in your essays to info@fasttrackesl.com. Leave a comment under the video on our YouTube page below the video here, and hopefully your writing will be next. Thank you guys for watching. Catch you in the next one. Want your writing corrected? Welcome to Fast Track ESL's Writing Correction Series, where every week we will be reviewing sample writing written and submitted by you, with detailed feedback and advice to help you improve your performance. At the end of each week's video, a new topic will be provided for the new episode that will be released the following week. All you have to do is email your writing to info@fasttrackesl.com and leave your name and country in the comment section of the video on YouTube. Yes, it's really that easy. Every week, one sample writing will be selected from among all the submissions, and we will review and correct it for our next episode. Just make sure you've subscribed to our channel, leave your name and country in the comments, and email us your writing. Who knows? Your writing may be reviewed in our next video. So stay tuned.